Hi there, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad to be here. I'm one of the school counselors. I'm on the west side of the school, but I'm one of 18 school counselors, and we have two college counselors here at Stevenson. I am one of the generalist counselors. Hello.
Thank you very, very, very much for joining us and lending your insight and your expertise to our conversation. I'm just very, very happy to have you with us tonight, Jen. So 18, senior year. It's an interesting time because you start to think, how many weeks do you have left with your senior in your house? Getting up, drinking the last of the milk or slamming their doors or hanging out at the dinner table with you, whatever you find your senior doing. Think about back when you were a senior. What were you like? What did you like? What didn't you like? What were some of the things that you were thinking about? I think our seniors are growing up in a little bit of a different world than we did. Certainly, we all thought about what we were going to do after high school, but maybe there's a different level of pressure on our seniors. So I just want to take a moment and have us all kind of think about, in a year, in 52 short weeks, we may all be in a very different place, thinking very different thoughts, wanting to always support our teens, no matter what they choose to do, but certainly thinking, wow, maybe the year has gone by. So I just want to help everybody pause for a minute and think about the routines that you have had for almost a couple of decades are going to be winding down. And now is the time to start really kind of thinking about that. And I welcome you to being in this conversation because it's going to be a time of change. And so we're going to talk about some milestones tonight around that change. Certainly what happens at Stevenson senior year, you will have a number of conversations over the course of the next year, certainly many of them with our college counselors, but then also what happens developmentally with your teenager, and sort of that side that is unanticipated by our maybe by our college counselors, but something that is certainly something you might want to think about and you know just have a quiet conversation amongst yourselves, amongst the adults in the house, around how can you support your teen and sort of all those self-management skills, responsibility skills, relationship skills. Who are they? Because when they walk out, they'll be very, very close to adults. So as we move forward, I do want to remind you, I know that this is going to seem like a little bit of a like we're going back at it. But now for senior year and from now on, a lot of you skim those daily digests and the monthly Minuteman, but you are going to be the parent or the guardian of a senior. And there is a lot that happens during senior year. So remember, that daily digest comes out every day. Try to take every day to skim it so that you just kind of know what's going on. This is going to be the time for you to figure out with your senior who is going to be responsible for all of those due dates. Are you going to give a gentle nod and then let things happen the way they will? Or are you really going to sort of check in with them on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis? It's something that you might want to talk to your senior about. And if you have a friend who has a senior, like another senior that you guys are all close with, maybe you can talk about how often were things due and what happens, because it comes fast. And you might want to, because you want to respect what your senior wants, you might want to have that conversation with them about how are you going to manage those tasks? Are you going to have a calendar with calendar reminders? Or are you going to sit down once a week and say, hey, what's going on? Because they'll have to navigate sort of that post-secondary process, as well as whatever classes they're in right now. And then please remember to read the monthly Minuteman, or that will Those are full of all the conversations from our administration, but they are helpful because they will have milestone conversations for parents as well. And it's good information for you to have as I know it's your last year. I do want to point out the calendar on our website. It's up in the corner. If you have not subscribed to the RMS feed so that you know what's happening, please do that, especially if your senior is in some kind of sport or anything. There's a lot of milestone sort of games or performances or whatever, and you want to be able to confer with your senior and say, hey, do you want me to be there or not? Or just so you know when things are coming up. You know, you might want to mark down homecoming in your calendar, or the first football game, or not that you need to go to the football game, but so that, you know, there's not some family event that's on some of those larger events. And you might want to have a conversation with your senior about what is important to them that they are a part of, and block those things off so that you're working more in collaboration with each other around what's happening in their schedule. And it's less about, hey, why aren't you here? And sort of that feeling of disappointment that sometimes our seniors can have when the expectations are not clear. Remember, they are really, really on the verge of being adults, and they love their independence and they want to practice that independence. So this is really the time for you to sort of treat them more like a partner and more like in a mentoring situation than in that traditional sort of managing them and parenting them as we did when they were a little bit younger. And I really want to remind you that you will spend a lot of time with some of the people who are your partners at Stevenson, but this is a great time now. It's a really great time for you to send an email to your counselor. I'm saying this with Jen in the you are going to go on this 12-month journey, and your counselor, I know you see the college counselor for the college counseling sessions, and they are wonderful. And some of you may have already done that, and some of you will be scheduling those in the future. But that counselor has known your student, your teenager, for 3 years now. It's a really great opportunity for you to check in with them and talk to them about any hopes that you have for senior year, not for post-secondary, but for senior year, any concerns you have. Remember, your counselor is your partner at Stevenson. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Jen and ask her to sort of talk about the milestones that you will go through with your partners, student services at Stevenson through senior year. Jen, I think I may have muted you.
Got it. Got it.
Got it.
That
Thank
was
you.
my fault. Thank you, Mara. Thank you for that introduction to the counselors as partners. And I hope that you all have felt that throughout your first few years here at Stevenson, that we are here to truly collaborate with you as families. And we do want to know about your students' hopes and dreams, challenges, things like that. And so if you haven't already had a good deal of contact with your student's counselor, I would absolutely reiterate what Mara said about reaching out to that counselor, letting them know if there are concerns, challenges, things that you really are hoping for your student for senior year. And as it relates to the post-secondary process, if that means college for your student, that's, you know, also something that the generalist counselors are happy to talk to you more about as well. We're not going to have as much specific college and specific program within colleges information as our college counselors, but certainly we are here to help every student with that post-secondary process, whether it is to your college, for your college, trades, military, whatever their hopes are for that next step after Stevenson. So I think Mara touched a little bit on the P-scopes. If you haven't already had one and you're hoping to have one, that deadline did pass in terms of getting the worksheets in. You all should have been invited over winter break, sometime a little bit before winter break, I think. And they have unfortunately kind of booked all of their appointments, our college counselors, for this semester. However, they will still take the applications. And if you need help with us resending that invitation, we're happy to do that. But just know that those appointments probably won't be till the fall, which is still fine, not too late to have those conversations with our college counselors, but they're probably not going to have availability until the fall. Beyond that, we're here to help you. We're here to hear any of your concerns. We do want to partner with you to help your student get through this big year. It is a big year. They're going to be busy with friends and a lot of social events that we have for them here at Stevenson. Lasts of a lot of things, and it can be an emotionally filled time too. So we just want to make sure you all know that outside of classes and college and post-secondary, that we're here to support you in any of those sort of social emotional issues that might come up for this big year coming up.
Yeah, it really is that sort of transition out of high school into what is really the unknown for a lot of our students. Just a quick reminder of areas to log on. Of course, those of you who know me, I'm a big proponent of being a viewer in Canvas. Canvas is the dashboard that our teachers use for coursework. It is a great way for you to see a syllabus or what's coming up in classes. So as you are navigating really from day one of senior year, college applications. So like, where are you applying? What are you doing? Maybe you have a P-scope. Maybe you're going to go visit some schools. You also have senior year of classes, and you still have those responsibilities. Those are not suspended in any way. So you want to make sure that when you sit down with your teen on whatever regular basis you do it, that you know what's coming up as well, and that you can have that conversation and help mentor them in that time management of how are they going to get things done. Remember that the way you get in there is that you ask your student to give you viewer privileges to Canvas, because I don't know how many of you have been on Canvas, but you have a very special page that Ms. Falk is going to talk about now.
Yes. So the class of 2025, which is our junior page now, and then it will be it'll be our senior page next year. It looks like this, and on the side, on the left-hand side, I think the thing that probably you are going to be most interested in is announcements, and that's where we post all kinds of things, anything that's coming up, whether it is something from our career exploration specialist, Ms. Travis. She often has speakers coming in to talk about different careers and things like that. We post when level change deadlines and drop deadlines and things like that. So really, it's a good page for you all to just keep up on what's going on sort of systematically in our building.
That's really great. Yeah, I think it's just to help your teen manage all the different deadlines that are coming up at them. That happens a lot. And some of you may have gotten through the last 3 years without being a viewer on Canvas, and you may not want to, but I did think I would throw this up there. This is the way you would sign up for Canvas. And the way you get to this is you can get this as a PDF, download it. You go to the parent page, and under logins, when you scroll down, you'll see Canvas, and there's a how-to. It's like a yellow bar. There's also a little movie on how to do it as well. So one of two ways: you can either watch a movie or you can read it for yourself. But getting into Canvas does take a partnership with your teen, and I do suggest that you might want to do that just so that you can have access, if not to their classes, sort of that announcement page, so that you also know what's happening with your teens. Again, the interactive report card, another really great place for you to sort of check in with your teen. Not that, they're going to go to college in a year from next fall or whatever, they'll have post-secondary responsibilities. And even if they go on and they're in the work world, they're going to be doing things on their own. But this is a great time for you to help them sort of think about how well are you doing? What's going on? Are there any grades that you don't like? And a lot of people think, and Miss Falk, maybe you can weigh in on this, that senioritis, it doesn't, grades after junior year don't matter. True or false?
False, very false. So here's what I tell all of my juniors and seniors is that your transcript, if you are applying to a four-year college, your transcript when you apply will have 6 semesters on it. That is freshman, sophomore, and junior year, 2 semesters each. You will apply with those grades. However, your schools will see your courses in progress first semester and the courses you have scheduled second semester. Oftentimes, they will want to see how you did first semester, and then they're always going to want to see your final transcript at the end of second semester. So we always remind students so that they don't kind of fall apart, first or second semester, senior year, it all matters.
It does. I may personally know someone who may have lost some scholarship money because they had a little bit of senioritis. And that was, yeah. And it was, it was not a good day in that household. I personally know that.
Yeah, so anything you can do to just sort of have an eye on the
Right.
interactive report card is good. And something I may not have mentioned that in Canvas, on that left-hand side, one of the things you can click on actually links you to the IRC. So
Oh, yeah.
Canvas is kind of a good central place to have
Yes.
links to other things.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to get into the interactive report card, everyone has a username and a password for Infinite Campus, same username and password as for the interactive report card. And I know a lot of people may say, hey, I am opposed to going in and checking my child's grades. And it's totally up to you. It's perfectly fine. I respect that a lot. Because you are trying to teach them to be independent and independent learners, and by 18 they should be able to do that. But just a note of sort of caution for you. Oh, well, that's an interesting page. I'm not quite sure why this page is not showing up. We'll just go into here because this is what I wanted to show you anyway. Under academics, you will see right here, grading at Stevenson. If you are not sure about what our grading is like at Stevenson, there are some videos here, and there is a video on our interactive report card, grade determination, college preparation, and questions. So if you have not spent any time, that's perfectly fine. But if you're sort of like thinking about it in terms of a different way. Now you're thinking about it in terms of my student getting into college. It's a different way of thinking about evidence-based grading, right? And what does it mean? And what are some terms, and how is this going to transfer into college? I just want to point this out to you because it has a lot of answers for you, and it's a great resource for you as you're moving toward senior year. And I apologize that the picture didn't show up here. Oh, there it is. Okay, well, okay. Ms. Falk, post-secondary support. What can we do for our seniors? How can we support? It's a gigantic piece of senior year. What happens?
Yeah, so I think our hope and desire as counselors in collaboration with you is that as your students move from 9th grade through 12th grade, that we are sort of providing support and yet peeling back that support little by little so that we are creating these independent adults able to take on college or whatever next steps are in their independent life after Stevenson. With that said, though, students, we always want to provide support in the college application process that is comprehensive. So generalist counselors are there to help students with that four-year college application process. Absolutely. Students can meet with us. We do a number of informational sessions during activity periods to talk through that process with them. The college counselors also will come in this semester. We'll be meeting with them next semester a number of times to provide support in that process as well. If students are looking to attend a two-year college, most of that support happens really like in large part second semester of senior year. But the four-year post-secondary support is really starts when we start the year next year, and even a little bit right now. Like I mentioned, the P-scopes, if you've already had one, I hope you found those valuable. If you haven't, you can still get in your worksheets, but we just can't guarantee that you'll have one before the fall semester. What else am I missing, Mara? What else, how else can I help with? Oh,
Timeline, the senior page?
yes, the senior page. So the senior page in the College and Career Center has got a wealth of information about all things senior related as they relate to college and career preparation. So I would just really, really recommend that for your own purposes, even if you don't feel like you want to have a conversation with your child, if they know what they're doing, but just so that you know what we have to offer and all the resources that are there, go to the College and Career Center page and look at all of the senior resources we have. Like I said, career exploration, we have college support help. There are a number of things, and maybe most importantly is that timeline so that you know where students need to be at each part of the year, so that you can kind of stay on top of it as well.
So currently the timeline that you see here is the timeline for this year, right? So we don't have the timeline up for next year because we still have seniors here. But it is a really good thing for you. You'll notice that all the blue parts are links, are hyperlinks in this document. And so next year, you're going to want to take this and print it out or put it somewhere, put on your calendar the dates that are important that you feel are that you want, however you manage things, you're going to want to just put this in there so that as you're working with your teen and sort of supporting your teen, however they're going through the application process, that you at least know what's happening as well as they do. Of importance are, there is a college night in the fall that you will receive an invitation to by email. Yes, Ms. Falk, they get an email that says, come to college night.
Yes.
Okay. There is also a financial aid night. It is usually in the fall, but as the current parents of seniors will tell you that there is something called the FAFSA for federal aid, and you either have to fill it out or you have to say you don't want to fill it out. It's part of the requirements of high school. There will be a night where they have people who will sit with you and help you fill out your FAFSA. And I'm going to tell you, as the parent of an older student, wow, what a great resource. Really consider doing it if you are someone who is not sure about the FAFSA. It's a terrific opportunity. That it's what you one-on-one with someone. You're not in a small group. It's just right. You're just one-on-one with a FAFSA completion expert, and it's just really a great resource that is provided to our families. In the spring, through the government classes, your student, once they get to just right about graduation, they are going to start thinking about what's it like to be in college. And Stevenson always brings back a bunch of alumni to talk about what it's like in school. And they are recent alum. So it's not like the 30-year-olds come back and talk to you about college. It's recent graduates who talk about, yes, it's important to go to college, and how do you manage your time and what do you do? Because that's just about the time in the end of May when our seniors are done with AP exams and their minds are turning toward what am I going to be doing next year and how am I going to manage things and what am I going to do? But you can find all of that general information on the senior timeline and really make sure that you watch your email for emails from the school, because that will be really important. You'll get a lot of very pointed emails to you just to let you know what's happening.
One other thing, can I just
Yeah,
mention one other thing about that?
most certainly.
Thank you. So the other thing I just wanted to mention is, if you haven't already heard of this, we also do have a lot of representatives from different colleges, hundreds of colleges come to Stevenson to talk about their school. So starting, I mean, in the fall, and some of your students may have already been to some of those visits already this fall, but if not, that's a really good resource, and something you can just ask your student about, do you know about this? Are you going? Things like that. But that's a really good resource for students, if they know that they're interested in a certain school, because they will come to Stevenson, and we take really copious notes when they're here, when they're at the rep visit, so that in case students can't actually be at those visits, they can see the notes afterwards. It's all in Naviance. We explain to them how they can come to a rep visit, what they have to do ahead of time. They have to get permission from their teachers. They should all know this. If they don't, they can always reach out to their counselor to ask the process.
Mm-hmm. And there's something called demonstrated interest for a college. And so and they watch to see how many times do you reach out to them, how many times do you visit them. If your student is interested in a college and that college is coming to Stevenson High School, please encourage your student to go and visit them, because it counts as demonstrated interest. And when we had, a couple of years ago, we had Jeff Salingo here, who wrote a book on college admissions, and we had the dean of college admissions from University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. And he did talk about demonstrated interest as being a factor that schools look at in all different ways. But if they're right down the hall, I would highly suggest that you encourage your teen to go and see them. Thank you for bringing that up, Ms. Falk.
Sure.
So I want to kind of turn now to your student as an 18-year-old, right? Your teen, what's it like, right? So you've now gone through, you've been with your wonderful teenager from elementary school, coming into Stevenson High School, into sophomore year, and like, wow, I'm in high school, I can't believe this. Sophomore year, where they gain a little bit of independence, because now all of a sudden they can drive, they can go see movies that maybe they didn't see before, maybe they did. Junior year, now there's a lot of independence, a lot of deeper thought, really sort of thinking about who's looking at me, who am I in the world, who are my friends. But regardless of that, your teen needs to know that you know that they're there. They may really do their level best, especially senior year, to be independent and be an adult. But this is the time for you to sit down with them and say, tell me about your day, or have dinner with them and ask them questions, ask them what they're doing, because what you're doing through that is you are building trust with your teen. You are demonstrating to them that you are there regardless of anything that they are going through, and that you will be there regardless of anything that they need you for. And that's what they really need you for. What you're doing your senior year, building those relationships with your teens, is certainly you're building memories that you will carry with you as they go off to school or work or whatever they do after they leave Stevenson High School. But what you're doing for them is you're building a relationship of trust that they will need as they sort of go out and try to navigate a new situation on their own. By 18, they're feeling a little bit of excitement about the future. and they really are very, very focused on their friends and their social lives. You're sort of in the background. You may have to schedule time to have dinner with them. They invest a lot of time and energy into thinking about what kind of life they want in the future. And they become a legal adult. And so I will never forget that when I turned 18, my mother and father looked at me and said, anything you do now goes on your permanent record. And I thought, what? I was a nerdy high school kid. I didn't really understand what that meant, but they are adults. So they are making adult decisions and they can do adult type things, right? And so that's really a nice opportunity for you to have a conversation around, what are your family's values? What are your family's expectations? What does that being an adult mean in your family? Because they feel like they're ready to move out and they feel like they're ready to begin the next chapter, and some are, and some are not. And that's when you want to have those conversations with your teen, because some of them may be super overwhelmed when everybody they know is saying, so what are you going to do next year? And that, I promise, will start in September. Yes, Miss Falk? That'll start in September, right? Like, hey, what are you going to do next year? Oh, sorry.
I'm on mute. I remember my own kids saying that to me, saying, please have your friends stop asking me. Please tell them to stop asking me what I'm doing. It's Thanksgiving and I have no idea. And it
I
gets
was just going to say Thanksgiving, or whatever those fall, like late fall, early winter holidays are. Adults seem to think that those decisions are made then. And you can run interference easily for them and say, hey, this is what they're thinking. If they come to you and talk, or if you have a friend that is in a field that your student is thinking about going into, what a great connection for you to make that connection to that person and say, hey, I know you're thinking of being an actuary. Hey, this is my friend, and they happen to be an actuary, or whatever it is. It's nice for you to make those adult connections for them. This is also a time that I want to remind you that our career counselors will, our career counselor, Miss Travis, is really great at also finding shadow opportunities for your students if they really are not sure what they want to do. In terms of self-management, an 18-year-old should be able to schedule their own plans. They're pretty philosophical and idealistic about things, and they have a lot more ability to have insight and empathy toward things. So think about when you're having those conversations with them, certainly they can maybe take someone else's perspective on a situation, or maybe you're just watching TV and you say like, wow, why they react that way? What do you think they're feeling? To sort of start to have them get those ideas or those thoughts in their heads. They are more able to work toward long-term goals, and they have a lot more control over their emotions at this time. But it is a really good opportunity for you senior year to sort of watch to see how they're managing themselves and where maybe you feel they could use a little bit of practice. Think of them in terms of, are they ready to live on their own in a dorm room? Or are they ready to live on their own in an apartment if they go on and they happen to live in an apartment? They do have a big fear of failure and a fear of letting you down. So think about that too. Really think about having those open conversations with them that are a little bit more fluid and non-judgmental, as much as it may be like, you're thinking of doing what? Maybe having that conversation with them, and if you're feeling uneasy about it, have a conversation with another one of your trusted adult friends or family before you sort of talk to your teen, because you want to really be in a good mentor role for them as you're moving forward with them. They are socially very aware. This is the time of the presentation where I am going to implore you to please be friends with your child on any social media they are on. Ask them about what TikToks they're watching. Ask them to see what their social media is, what their Instagram accounts. Ask them about their friends' Instagram accounts. Who are they watching? Be aware. Please, please be aware. Nobody can control what's out there, but you can certainly have a very honest conversation about what you see your student is into or not. A lot of clubs and colleges and a lot of places will use Instagram now, or I don't think they use Facebook very much anymore. Jen, do they? I don't think so.
Not as much anymore. No, clubs are using Instagram more than Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. But so they can start to take out another person's opinions and express gratitude. But really, what you want to do is sort of have that outside discussion with your teen about what's going on, where are they, what are they looking at, because Instagram is going to be a part of their world, and it's a great opportunity for you to help them sort of think about where they are and how they want to manage and that world, as well as TikTok or other things, and sort of go in with an open, non-judgmental mind about it and ask questions, non-judgmental questions. Hey, what is that? What about, why do you like that artist? Or why do you follow that? Or maybe get yourself an Instagram account if you don't have one, so that you can better understand the world that they're living in now as well. So their peers are really important to them at 18. I think we've talked about that, but they have a little bit more ability to pull away from their peers. Super important, but they've moved less of, I need to be friends with 25 people, and a little bit more substantial relationships with fewer people. It doesn't mean that they're not going to have larger groups of friends, but you'll see them starting to gravitate to one or the other because they're starting to value their own self-identity a little bit more than the group mentality, which now you may be seeing, like when your teen and their friends are together, they'll have like the same clothes on. That's very indicative of a teenager. And when we walk around school, it's fun because a lot of kids have almost the exact same clothes on. Like they all wear the same kind of clothing, and you can kind of watch the trends come and you can watch the trends go with the way they are. They like spending time with their friends, but they speak a little differently with their friends than they do with their family. And that's okay. It's okay if they are using slang, but that may be something that they see on social media or on TV or in a movie or something, because they're really trying on their adult self in 18. And so it's kind of fun to be able to sit back and watch your senior kind of become like, what do they like? What do they not like? And sort of have those conversations. But remember, those conversations that you have, that's not who your fully grown adult child is going to be. It's just sort of what they're trying on right now and who they are. They're better able to evaluate their own opinions and what's over what's happening with the crowd, and they can manage their emotions. And I would start to say that, think about what adult responsibilities you want to give your teenager. If your child is going to go off to college, please make sure they know how to wash their clothes. Please make sure they know how to cook themselves a meal. Please make sure they know how to manage some kind of money, a debit card, or whatever it is that you are going to give them. Please have those adult conversations with them and help them monitor those skills as they're getting through senior year as well. Jen, did you have those kinds of conversations with your not so newly minted?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, making sure that there were just a few really basic life skills that they absolutely had when they were going off to college. And also, the other thing that I think sometimes is new for 18-year-olds going to live independently is that they're living with a roommate for the first time. I don't know if your kids share rooms, but if they don't, you're all of a sudden sharing space, and generally, like, it's a pretty small space with
Mhm.
another human being who doesn't have to really love you at the end of the day like your family does. So, teaching them how to share space and how to be respectful, and how to have hard conversations if the other person isn't respecting their space. It's a hard one, and a lot of times they have to learn through experience. But those are good conversations to have with your student before they leave. Is how are you going to share space? What are your expectations? Things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, and sort of how, what would you want out of a roommate? And then sort of like, well, that's the kind of roommate that you need to be. What do you expect out of someone who might live with you? Like taking a
Mhm.
shower, or dirty clothes, or do you throw everything on the floor? And sort of those kinds of conversations are important to have. And then what's important now is that you have a year to sort of build those skills. It's a little bit different if you're trying to build those skills 60 days before they're getting ready to move out of the house or move into a new situation. So overall, we kind of talked about your role with your teens and the idea that you have been sort of their person, right? And you are their person and you will be their person, even when they go away to school, but your relationship has to change. So where now you may know so much about them and to varying degrees, their friends' parents, where they're going when they jump in the car. I don't know if you have, I think it's Life 360 where you can see where they are. But then when they go away to school, sort of that's when they're independent and they're independent of you and they should be independent of you. And so then you don't want to be the person that they don't talk to anymore, but now is a really nice time to start to build those relationships with them where you are not really the parent as much as their person that they go to ask for advice. It may be parental type feeling advice, but it's less of no, you can't go and go out with those kids because they don't live with you anymore. And it's more of what are you thinking and tell me how you're making those decisions. And what are you considering when you're making those decisions? And what is it about those people that you really like and why are you hanging out with them? And not in a judgmental way, but more in a asking the question as you would want your friend to ask you. So we kind of talked about talking to your student, your teen about living with someone and wanting to and thinking about how would you want a roommate to live with you? How would you want a trusted colleague to speak to you? And consider employing some of those skills when you are talking to your teen. Remember, they are really trying to be young adults now, and they are trying to try on what it means to be an adult. So it is a tricky balance toward guiding them toward autonomy, but helping them stay safe and supported. So you can talk to them about their friendships outside of high school and talk about, do they want to maintain some of their current friends or do they not? That's there may be, oh, my best friend is going to school in a state far away from me, and how am I going to maintain a friendship? Or if they are dating, how are they, are they maintaining those friendships or not? A lot of that is very, very fluid. And you'll see that happen through senior year. And while you want to step in with guidance, please step back and wait until they ask for it, or it's really needed, or it's really necessary, or you see them making a decision that might be harmful to them. But this is really the last year that they have to kind of learn some of the hard lessons around what happens if if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to? What happens if I get a sense of failure? How am I going to pick myself up? How am I going to rely on myself? And who am I going to go to for guidance or support or the kinds of advice that I need to help me through the situation? In closing, I love these six attributes that families can share with their kids. Love to give them a sense of worth, stories so that they have some perspective. Please, please, please ask your students to contribute. If they don't work outside the home, contribute to the home in some way. Take out the garbage, make their bed, wash their own clothes, make dinner for the family once a week, whatever. It not only is teaching them a very valuable skill, but it's making them feel like they are valued in the house, and their presence in the house is really significant. Please make sure that you build in a lot of fun over the next calendar year, a little bit more than that, 18 months, so that you have great memories with one another. Introduce them to people that you know they may enjoy meeting with regards to maybe their future plans or a college they may have gone to or whatever. You have a larger social circle that has much more experience in the world than they do. And please make sure that you continue to have great, fluid, deep conversations with your teens because they are amazing people. Ms. Falk, do you have any closing words?
No, I would say those are 6 great items. And I think that your kids will be successful if they feel like they can talk to you and they have your love and support. And just know that we at Stevenson, student support teams, every student has a student support team, not to mention a number of other caring adults in the building. We are here for them and we want to help them in this very, very formative year for them. So we are here for them and for you. So please
Yeah.
use us in that way.
I'm not sure if there's anybody that has any questions. I'm kind of watching the chat. I think we've addressed so much. A video of this recording will be up. You'll be able to get it through the parent page of the D125 website under family engagement, under past events. There will be a link to this video probably up at later afternoon tomorrow, along with all of the translated subtitles as well. Thank you very, very much for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. Ms. Falk, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I appreciate your perspective, and